Think about your day for a second. You watch films, listen to songs, read books, doodle at the corner of your notebook, look at images, but we don't really consider all of these things as art. Yet our brain is constantly responding to the images, designs, and sounds around us. What is interesting is that all of these experiences evoke something similar in us. They hold our attention and shift our mood. They can make us feel calm, overwhelmed, even nostalgic at times, without making us realize why. So, when we are constantly watching and listening, don't you think we are already interacting with art without naming it as such? Hello, you are watching Sattva Speaks, and I am Rutuja, your host for today, and we are in conversation with Mugdha Shivapurkar. Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
She is an art psychotherapist and a co-founder of The Secret Ingredient Mental Health Care. She has over a decade of experience integrating creative arts with mental health across educational and counseling spaces. So, to start with our today's topic, can you tell us exactly what art is?
Firstly, I loved the introduction. I think when you started with talking about how art is in our everyday, that pretty much brought in the definition of what I feel art is, that art is expression. It's tangibly bringing something forward that I may be feeling internally. And I also feel art is in a gaze. So how I gaze at something, how I look at something, and what it intrinsically makes me feel is also art. Right. So if I'm looking at that plant behind you, and if I'm taking the time to notice the dots on it, the colors on it, how I gaze at it and what it reminds me of, it's reminding me of an artist whose exhibition I had seen many years ago, who specifically uses polka dots as form of art. Right. So how you gaze at something, how you look at something can also be art. So yeah, I think that's what my definition of art would be.
Interesting. So when you say it makes you feel something, those emotions, are they different from our survival or everyday emotions? And if yes, how?
If you ever find a dog barking very loudly at you, what do you think your first reaction would be?
Scared.
Scared, and then what would you do?
I would freeze or I would run away.
You would freeze or you would run away. So that's a survival emotion, that there was scare, you felt scared or there was fear, and that fear made you maybe behaviorally run away. With art, something that we call aesthetic emotions, the essential idea is that I may feel that emotion, but it doesn't necessarily elicit a behavioral response from me. So to take from what you were sharing, that it is not necessarily needed for survival, but I needed to live life, to witness things and to notice the beauty of things. And that's how they are different. So how I look at art brings up emotions that I can carry with me. Right. But in an everyday life, when things keep happening to me, I need to behaviorally do something about it. So, yeah.
Okay. So when you say it is about what you think or what I think, so how is it that even when the art or the work is unchanged, our interpretation of it can be totally different?
What are you feeling right now?
Right now I'm calm, surprisingly.
How do you know calm? Where do you feel it in your body?
Right here, chest.
Here? Can you give it a shape?
Maybe a circle.
So calm is a circle for you that sits in your chest. Calm for me is a wave that is usually somewhere in my stomach. We are both experiencing an emotion, but we are experiencing it differently. I feel that's how it is with art as well. That we are not walking in and looking at art just as the art is. We are bringing ourselves, and we are chalti phirti histories, right? There's so much of life that has happened to me. There are so many experiences, so many things that I'm carrying with me that come along when I'm witnessing something. Maybe that's a dance performance, maybe that's a visual art painting that has been created, and all of these are going to evoke something that is connected to my own life as well. So imagine it like there's a thread here and there is a thread here, and that connection makes how I interpret art more subjective. So you also have your own thread, na? So if we are both looking at art over here, that thread is carrying its own journey, culture, expectations, language, understanding. Same thing with me. So that's why it's a universal but a unique experience. That's how I make sense of why each of us interprets art differently.
Interesting. So you just mentioned about aesthetic emotions. Can you elaborate on that?
मला आवडतात aesthetic emotions खूप. I've tried to study a lot about it. I think I'm still on a very infant stage, कारण मला न्यूरोसायन्स आणि न्यूरो एस्थेटिक्स बद्दल थोडं कमी माहिती आहे, but I'll try and explain it as simply as possible. I'll give you all an analogy. I feel aesthetic emotions are like emotions that have gone on vacation.
Okay.
ते रोज नसतात आपल्या आयुष्यात. And but then when we are witnessing a performance, or let's say you go and watch a movie and that movie brings up so many visceral feelings for you, म्हणजे असं पोटात खड्डा पडला किंवा खूप you feel like you're crying but you don't know what that is about, or maybe something that the movie brought out that related to your history, but that doesn't mean that you have to do something about it. So why I say the emotion is on vacation is like on everyday basis I'm dealing with sadness, I'm being mad, I'm fearful, and I need this to, like magashi मी म्हणाले, I need these to survive, to walk through life, to have some behaviors around it. And then when I'm hit by art, these vacation wale emotions come forward and they're like, oh, see, you can feel this also, you can feel awe, you can feel chills. How often do you say, see, I have goosebumps? We don't need goosebumps every day in life, but they make us witness and feel so much more that is so unique about the human experience. So I think aesthetic emotions are uniquely human, and they make us appreciate life so much more. That's how I understand them.
So when you say watching a movie can make us feel things that daily life won't really. Like for example, if I'm listening to a song about breakup, but if I haven't experienced breakup myself, I can still feel how it feels without maybe a lot of emotional load of history with me. So when we feel something internal, how is it, do you think, that art can make us aware of our emotions?
So I think awareness of emotion, art can act like a bridge between it. So we are carrying a lot of memories, cognitive experiences, feelings within us. They are not always tangible. They are not always out there. When I said calm, you know what calm is, but you don't have a way of seeing it. A lot of times, maths सोडवताना cognitive काहीतरी तुला maths दिसतं. So then you don't have to carry that with you everywhere. But with emotions, because they lack that tangibility, art can then become the bridge where it gives language to emotions. That you said that it feels like a circle. I would maybe very quickly like, okay, take the piece of paper, draw the circle for me. What color is the circle like? And then what texture does it have? What texture does it have, this calm circle?
It's like a ball of energy, and it is a yellowish color.
So yellowish ball of energy, but like soft, heavy,
very soft.
Very soft. So you've already made calm tangible by describing it in an art form. If I would have taken it forward, we would have maybe picked a yellow color, done something around it. So I feel art gives language to emotions. That's how it helps in awareness, in making more sense of what I feel. And I think that's why I use art a lot with my clients as well. Many a times when you're coming in for therapy, you're coming in with a lot of inhibition around, I can't express how I actually feel. I don't have the words to express how I actually feel. Then maybe let's take a piece of paper. Let's see what's coming up on paper, what strokes, what colors, what shapes. And those shapes will support us in making sense of that emotion, essentially. Very fancily, if I have to say, maybe a bridge between the unconscious and the conscious. That there's some process happening somewhere, and then that art is that bridge, and then it is coming here.
Right.
That's how it helps in awareness. Yeah.
I love that analogy. So when we say art can make us aware about our emotions, can it also help us regulate it?
What do you feel?
I feel like yes, but I don't know how.
How we'll come to how, but I'm wondering if you have ever had a very horrible day and then gone home and then plugged in your favorite music and instantly after a second you felt like, okay, it's manageable, it's doable.
Right.
Yeah. So there was some sort of art form that you engaged in that brought out a sense of equilibrium, right?
Yes.
We call it homeostasis, which is when your nervous system is all over the place. We come to homeostasis, which is we come to a space of regulation. And art helps us reach that point because it is a very mindful medium. It's a medium that helps all your senses come to one space. That's why music. Many a times you'll see people say things like dance is my therapy or art is my therapy. The idea is that it is therapeutic, that in the moment it makes your body feel settled, it makes your senses feel more calm or regulated. Calm is different for everyone, so I would say regulated. It takes away the chaos to bring it in alignment. Because if I'm taking a piece of crayon and this, and I'm saying that I'm very frustrated, okay, and I'm doing something. I don't know if you all can hear it, but my mind is already going towards, oh, how are these strokes getting created? Oh, what was the sound that was happening when I was doing it? So very naturally, my mind is moving away from this is what is happening versus, oh, how is that color flowing? So you're very naturally coming back to the body.
Right.
And that's how art helps you regulate. And then in therapy, it acts as a good co-regulator. Co-regulator is where we are sharing regulation.
Right.
So yeah.
So can we say that art is more of like escapist than making us process our emotions? We're just avoiding them.
No. I don't think you're avoiding emotions by making art. You are staying with them and making them more tolerable with making art. So when I'm sitting and I'm doing this, I'm not distracting myself by grabbing a phone and scrolling. I'm still in the emotion. I'm still saying that I'm very angry and I'm very pissed and I've picked something to express that anger. So I'm still identifying an emotion, witnessing the emotion in my body, and then drawing it.
Right.
So I'm not running away from it. I'm just finding a way to settle it or sit with it. So no, it's not an escape. It's more of a increased ability to sit with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned co-regulation. So if art is such a personal experience, how can it be shared with other people? And how is it different than self-regulation?
Okay. Let's try something. I'll explain self-regulation and co-regulation, but before that, let's do this. Take this, pick a crayon, any crayon, and make a stroke on the paper. Can I? You can change colors also. As you're making strokes, also notice what area of the paper you're occupying, or how does it feel if I just cut through your stroke, and what it brings up for you. Anything
I
else
don't
you
mind.
want to add?
Sure.
Ata, we have a few random shapes.
Right.
Why don't you color any two shapes that stand out for you? आम्ही एकदा दाखवते.
Sure.
We have just random strokes. Is that visible? Yeah. And see what shapes are popping out for you and just color one of the shapes.
Okay.
I'll also color something.
Sure.
1 second. Let's see. Anything else?
No, it's fine.
All right. We've identified random shapes and colored them. I was wondering how you felt when we were making this.
A bit out of context. What am I exactly supposed to draw?
And then after a point when we made a few strokes, then what happened?
I was trying to fill in the empty spaces.
You're trying to fill in spaces.
Yeah.
When you saw me make a few strokes, did that give you any ideas?
They were also random, so no.
No. Okay. All right. How was it to share the experience with me?
Interesting, because I don't know what you will draw.
Yeah. So you don't know what I will draw. I don't know what will come up for you. Usually, when a client walks into the space, they are also coming in with this. They are also coming in with, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know where this is going to go.
Right.
And then there is a shared experience, which may bring a certain amount of ease to the ambiguity. I can, of course, always build on to this with, what image do you think this is? I feel like it's a fish swimming.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we can keep talking about it. But because you spoke about co-regulation, the idea is that we share this experience till the time you build capacity to regulate yourself. This comes from Winnicott. Donald Winnicott is a very famous psychoanalyst who gave us the concept of the holding environment. And the holding environment is essentially what the mother creates. Hopefully, he wrote it as the mother creates. I would say that parental figure creates. It comes from the idea that that baby doesn't have capacity to take care of their emotions.
Right.
They don't know what to do with those emotions. So there are very big, loud emotions happening and they are all over the place. And then this good enough mother will take those emotions, she'll make them digestible, and she'll give them back to the child. Yeah? That okay, it was all over the place. Now I'm doing something and I'm giving it back to you so you can make more sense of this.
Right.
So you are loud and you're crying in the crib and you're like, you poor thing, you're hanging, something is on top of you, you don't know what to do, you're helpless and you're crying, and then somebody has come and said, I am calm, you are crying, you can borrow my nervous system for now. That is co-regulation. That currently you don't have capacity to hold all of this. So I will hold it for you.
Right.
I will make it more sensible and digestible and then give it back so that you can take care. Eventually, the Winnicottian child will be able to then regulate themselves.
Okay.
Of course, that goes into concepts of transitional objects, which currently you may be seeing with Punch the Monkey. It's a very viral video at the moment, and Punch the Monkey was abandoned by his mother, and he transitioned to an object which is a soft toy and is trying to co-regulate with that soft toy.
Right.
So I think that's how I look at co-regulation and self-regulation, that somebody helps you make sense of that emotion till the time you are ready to regulate yourself. And I want to say this, that we can't forever self-regulate. Beach mein we need, like when you're all over the place, you need a friend to vent to. You need some sort of coping mechanism that will refill that self-regulation capacity. So beach mein in life we keep going back to co-regulation, and because we are talking about art is that co-regulation. That when I don't have anything and when those emotions are all over the place, can I take that one little frame and then bring all of that in that, and then that paper will hold it for me for some time. I can externalize it, I can put it away, I can be like, ye bakwas hai, I can throw it away. I can put some distance and try and regulate myself. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it absolutely does.
Okay.
So I remember when we had, I used to dance, I used to do Bharatanatyam, and I remember before a performance we used to have so many mess ups, so many rehearsals, but I feel like I remember those moments more, even more than the performance that we actually had. So can we say from this that process is more important than the product?
Okay, I love this question. So in art therapy, we say process over product. But when we are looking at performative arts or presenting arts, we can't always say that the process is more important than product, because let's say you're entering a dance competition. In the dance competition, the product is going to matter. Like how you perform on stage is going to matter. So in spaces where performance holds value, there the product or the final end result is important. But when we look at art therapy, or when we look at the art therapy process, we are saying that what happens when you're creating something holds more value than how it looks in the end. So how we, or let's say, let's take this, how I felt while I was making this holds more value than how it looks. Maybe it looks great to me. I love this piece of art. Yeah. But it is not necessarily aesthetically pleasing. Right? But the process matters. How I felt when I was doing it, what emotions came up for me, what thoughts came up, what people did I think about, what memories came up for me. That is what I'm trying to tap into. Yeah. So as an art therapist, when a client is sitting in front of me, and they are creating something, I am not necessarily sitting and analyzing, oh, pink color means this and red color means this. It is always the value that the client holds in the process. So if you create something, my question to you would be more like, how did you feel when you were creating it? How did things unfold for you? Or maybe something on the lines of, I wonder what was the reason you felt like picking up pink. I'm not saying that, oh, pink is color of love. So then did you feel, no. Maybe you picked pink because anger for you is pink. So the subjective experience gets utmost value, and that is why the process matters more than the product. I wouldn't say the product doesn't matter only. I'm not going to throw it away, because there's some attachment happening there as well. But I would say that the process overpowers the way the product looks.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So at times when I'm feeling extremely overwhelmed and I don't really sit down and journal or maybe scribble something on my notebook, what can you tell us some strategies to self-regulate at that time without maybe pen and paper?
Oh, without pen and paper. What were you feeling? Sorry, I didn't understand.
Overwhelmed.
You're feeling overwhelmed. Without pen and paper, art strategies. First, I will show a pen and paper one, and so that we can translate it into a non-pen and paper one. So take this. We'll do it together.
Okay.
Pick any color. Doesn't matter. And what I invite you all to do is breathe. All right? and we will also breathe, and we'll just trace our breath on paper. Okay. So every time you inhale, trace something. Every time you exhale, trace something. All right, let's go. Maybe play around with it also, like.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you all breathing? Okay. You can, I'm sure, keep going, because once we start, we can feel like we want to do this. This is a very good regulatory way, that pick a pen, pick a piece of paper, you're sitting in a lecture, you're extremely overwhelmed, frustrated, the teacher made a comment that has triggered multiple things for you. Just coming back to the breath, just coming back to the breath. But then maybe taking from what you said, I'm overwhelmed in a bus, in a cafe, in spaces where I don't necessarily have access to art. But that doesn't mean regulation should be inaccessible. So then maybe I'll do the same thing on my body. So palm, can you see my palm? Yeah, so then, or thigh if you don't want anybody to see it. Or something as simple as, can you feel your feet right now?
Yeah.
Can you tap them? Do you feel the texture of the stage? What is it like?
Smooth.
Smooth.
But still hard.
And temperature?
Normal to cold.
But near your feet?
Warm.
Warm.
Yeah.
So you also noticed a temperature difference. I'm still coming to textures, colors and temperatures, so that's still art.
Right.
But I'm also coming back to my body, and that's how you make regulation more accessible. That I can't necessarily sit and have multiple colors and crayons and do the whole thing, but I can notice patterns, I can notice colors, I can witness sounds, and that can bring me back to the body. That can bring me back to some sort of homeostasis.
Okay.
So I think that makes it more accessible, and movement is the most accessible art form. Now you can just get up and do one nice big stretch, and that's also coming back to the body. So not necessarily the paper, but can be other things as well.
Does the technique of self-regulation with art change with what kind of emotion you are feeling?
I feel it changes person to person rather than emotion to emotion. So for me, my go-to regulation is movement.
Right.
But as a therapist, I use art. So many of the clients that come to me, they are using art as a regulatory medium, like visual art as a regulatory medium. I am using movement as a regulatory medium. So I don't think it is specific to the emotion I'm feeling, that I'm feeling angry, so movement will help, or I'm feeling sad, so music will help. No, maybe for me personally, when I'm sad, I need to move, and that movement is what will allow regulation for me. Maybe for you, when you're angry, writing will help, and so it is very unique to each individual. There can't be this emotion is equal to this art form. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on your mind? No? Okay. Anybody else has any questions? Something that I can answer? I would love to.
So when we are trying to express all the locked up emotions inside us, maybe through movement or drawing, sketching, instead of calming down, we might actually feel more overwhelmed and maybe result into some kind of panic or crying. So how to deal with that?
It's a very, very nice question. So firstly, the environment in which you are engaging with art also matters a lot. Yes, while we are using these techniques as self-regulation methods, art will also bring up a lot of feelings. Sometimes after you have moved, there's this sense of release and a lot of crying happens. Psychologically, the concept is also called catharsis. The idea that some movement or art brought out release for you. Yeah. if this is happening in a therapy space, if it is happening with a therapist as witness, you have somebody who will support you in co-regulation. You have somebody who will be like, okay, I can see that this has come up and let's stay with it, let's allow it to come.
Right.
And we will process it together. Again, Winnicott, I'll take all of this, I'll take all of the heavy that has come.
Right.
Let's try to make sense of it and let's make it more digestible. Usually, when you are out in public where you're already overwhelmed, where there's a lot happening, I wouldn't expect that you're suddenly going to start moving. But in spaces like that, when you end up doing something like breath work and things like that, these are very small regulatory interventions that I have suggested that bring you back to the present moment, that are not hoping to trigger more. Yeah, so even the choice of what you are doing and the space in which you are engaging in that art form is going to matter a lot on how that emotion comes out. So if you already are going through mental health concerns, if you have panic attacks, if there are concerns around emotions, I wouldn't say just directly move to art without knowing it. Please do it with support of a therapist, a therapeutic art facilitator, somebody who can support you in the process of arriving and holding that emotion, and not just stirring the pot, bringing everything to surface and telling you, okay, bye, now go. I would hope that your use of art therapeutically or your use of art for emotions happens under well-contained circumstances, spaces that hold you, spaces that can contain you, where all of this can spill and yet somebody will gently help you wrap it and then take it away. So yes, it can come up, but I would hope that there are spaces where you can find ways to settle it as well.
So what I understand from our conversation is that art is not only about a painting in a gallery, but it is so much more about process, the experience.
Yeah.
It is a very effective tool of emotional regulation. Just like any experience, art is also subjective to all of us. So maybe the real question is not what exactly art is, but what it is to us.
What I hope that all of you can carry through this is that art is in all of us. It is not something that is separate from us. How you began the podcast by saying that it's how I arrange a room or how I doodle in the corner of a notebook. I feel it's a very integral part of our lives. It's in the colors, the textures, it's in rangolis across the floor, it's in the colors of Holi is coming up.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of cultural specific art forms around us, as well as internal art that we have. And I hope we can all find ways to use it, regulate with it, and stay in touch with it. Because the more we move towards very capitalist, very everyday, very AI-driven, technology-driven lives, the more tactile, the more tangible, the more felt experiences we can have, the more regulated we might feel. So yeah, I hope you carry art with you wherever you go. That's what I would like to leave you all with. Yeah, thank you.
Today's episode. Thank you, Mugdha, so much for joining us and sharing your wonderful insights and perspectives. To our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. See you the next episode and keep making art.
Keep making
Bye.
art. Bye.
Yay! Think about your day for a second. You watch.
Cut.
Why?
Camera.
Hello.
Okay.
अरे
थोड़ा सा आवाज बढ़ाओ.
I'll tell you one pro tip. Ignore them. Silence.
तो सांगेल कॅमेरा रोलिंग त्याला
Whoa.